$500 to bring it out here, man. He said he wanted it here at exactly 7 o'clock.
In the box, what was in the box? What's in the box? What's in the fucking box?
Alright, I'm going to just knock off a little bit of the crust here. Looks like it's survived shipping just fine. But I'm going to scrape off some of this dirt just to check it out and inspect it. I'll go and clean this thing good. I'll pressure wash it and things, but I just want to do a preliminary scrape, see what's there. But there it is, the 5 rib. Alright, it's time to clean the 5 rib. Here's my tools that I'm going to use to get it. Here's the current state that I got. I cleaned a little bit off earlier. You saw that. It was cold and dark that day, so I've sprayed the inside first. I'm going to let it build and clean that up, then I'll tip it up on its end to work on it. But it appears to be in pretty good shape, so I just want to clean it up and get it nice. These casting, there's some casting marks there on the top. I want to smooth those down. There's some on the side too, but I'll probably take a grinder and smooth those down, kind of trying to make it nice. I just want to take it to the transmission builder. I just want to take it to him nice so it's nice and clean. I don't know if I'll leave it aluminum or if I'll paint it. We'll just get it clean first and see how it goes. I just spent 4 hours cleaning the transmission, and I called my transmission man, and he was ready for it, so I took it and dropped it off. So we'll see. I'm excited. We'll be getting it back here probably in a few weeks. Probably won't take too long. We'll have a discussion about what we want to do with it as far as gears. I'm going to run, I think, 33-inch tires in the back, so we'll have to have that conversation about what gears to run, but I'm excited. Okay, that's where we're going to leave off with the transmission for now. When I get it back, after it gets rebuilt, I'll do an entire video on all the specs and why I chose it and everything that went into it. I'll give you the cost, try to cover everything. So that'll be probably the next video, maybe the one after it, depending on how long it takes to get it built. I've got my new limit straps that came in. Ordered them from Amazon. They're a company, they call it a bull strap. Want to try something different. They weren't the cheapest, but they also weren't the most expensive. They're kind of in between. They're 4 layers, so they're thicker than the ones I had previous. All right, here's the straps that I bought. That's the brand. These, you can see they're 4-ply here. And that's thicker. The ones that I previously bought off Amazon, and these are looks like 3-layer, I think. So one more extra layer. These are a little cheaper, but not by a whole lot. But anyway, these will be okay. For the Baja, I'm going to run PRP, so I'm just kind of experimenting, trying different things with the buggy since it's kind of just a fun project. And one reason I did this buggy before I finished the Baja, I can learn things on this, make mistakes. Yeah, like I say, this is going to be something fun to go around with, and when I get the Baja done, I can let one of my friends drive it, so I'll have someone to go out with. So that's what we're doing. Okay, on the rear trailing arms, the way I decided, I'd shown I was going to drill a hole, but I have 1-inch holes in the back of the trailing arm, so I bought this 1-inch spacer. It's T6061 aluminum, so it's hard aluminum. I'm going to put that into the slot. It fits in nice and tight. I'm actually going to have to tap it in. And I'm going to put washers on each side of it, so that'll kind of pin it into the hole. And then I'm just going to run the bolt through it. I got a bolt, that sleeve is the same width as the nut, so it'll be sitting on the shaft there instead of the threads. So let's get one assembled and see what happens. Alright, before I work on the limit strap, there's my rear shock that I blew apart to get the measurements and find out what springs I had. What I decided to do, I'm going to go with a 10-inch upper spring on the top, and previously had a 14, so that should take care of it. When I get it, it should be in early this week. So I'm going to go ahead and pre-assemble this now just so I can get the limit strap on and get it back on its ground. But next week, when those come in, we'll pull the shocks back apart and we'll readjust the height of the buggy, and hopefully everything will be as we need it to be. Okay, you can see the 6 holes I have in my trailing arm there, right there. This one, it's kind of hard to see now, but I've got the aluminum spacer in there. I had to tap it in. So right there it is. So I have the washers on each side of that, and I had to tap it in so it's nice and tight there, 1/2-inch hole. So that should work for the limit strap. I moved it to the center location. I can move it these 3 holes, and I can move it on those 3 holes, so it'll give me plenty of flexibility on the right width. But let's put it all together and see how we are. Okay, here it is bolted in. Got it there, and that's how I've got it. Those are stainless steel washers. I'll probably get a thicker washer there probably. It's probably okay, but just in case. Anyway, I'm gonna jack it up now and see if the CV turns. And if not, like I say, we got plenty of adjustability there. Okay, I had to move it to the front hole, and then the back, I was right here, and then I had to move it to the one back there. And I do have clearance now. It's turning freely. So I'm kind of okay, but I probably actually need a 21-inch strap, because this one, right now, it's working, but if it stretches, say, 1/2 inch, it's probably going to not be right. So I may end up ordering 21s, but for now, we'll see. But as far as the way it works, that part's going to be okay. So as far as the fabrication part of it, that part's done. So I just have to get the proper size. Okay, now I got the front limit straps on. I replaced the 25s with 26s. And they still fit in nice. And I've got probably a 1/4 inch of clearance right there when the wheels turn. So I think I'm okay. So that'll be the limit straps. So I guess that's all mocked up. I'm now ready to move on to something else. I have to get on the list and see what's next. I'm getting ready to take my engine to have it built, and I need to paint my tins. And I'm going to paint them white, which I know is awful. But this is kind of dedicated to my dad, in a way, who passed away during COVID. Not of COVID, but during COVID, 2020. And he always, for some reason, he always loved white engine bays. So he always painted things white, even exhaust sometimes. So the first car I ever had was a rail buggy, which my dad bought for me. I drove, like I mentioned before, I drove it all through high school. So kind of in honor of him, I'm going to paint it white, and hopefully it'll also keep it cooler, hopefully. I mean, because the sun will be on it, so But again, I know it's a terrible choice, so that's fine. It's okay. But that's what I'm going to go with. So I need to get those painted so I can let those cure for about a week so I can send it to the engine builder and get the motor up and going. But unfortunately, now I'm going to move on to something that's already been done. And I thought it was finished, but I had problems with the rod height issues and other things. So the rear shock mounts, even though they were already done, I covered them in the other video, I'm going to revisit them, and unfortunately I'm probably going to undo everything I've done. I know Damien just is getting rid of his entire floor pan, so this is not that big a step, but it's what happens when you build cars. It's just one of those things. So I've been playing around, measuring things and looking some things out, so I'll show you what I've been up to and show you where we are. Part 2 of rear shocks. Hopefully we get it right this time. Okay, before I work on my shocks, I want to paint. I talk about painting my tins. One thing I have to modify on my doghouse here, since it's a buggy, I want to run a grill cover. Keeps from sucking stuff in, but it won't attach to that, so I've made a ring. I just took flat steel, made a ring, and weld that on there, and then it'll sit on top of it and hold it on. I'm going to try to weld it all on the inside, so from the outside you won't see anything, so when it's painted it should look okay. But I did already paint the lower tins for the pistons and the jugs, and yes, they're white, and yes, they look awful. So, but it's okay. I'm doing that on purpose. So I chose to do the hammer white. I'll show you a little bit after this.
So let's set the date, vaccinate and celebrate. Learn about vaccine options and book this season's updated COVID-19 shot today at schedulecovidvax.com.
Okay, here's what I painted my tins with. I started with the hammer finish. At work, I use the hammer finish a lot on display stands, and I usually get the bronze or the black, and it's really durable, and it looks really good. But the hammered in the white looks like shit, honestly. So I think you kind of saw it. This looks like a bad paint job. It looks like orange peel, basically. On the metallics, it doesn't look that bad. But anyway, so what I decided to do, I did the back of the fan shroud and the engine tins and hammered, but then I switched to the gloss on the front, so it won't look as bad. So, but overall, I don't care too much. It's a rail buggy. It's not, it's not a show car. So anyway, that's what I used, and when it's all done, it'll be fine. All right, let's get back on to the new rear shock mounts. Okay, just to recap, here we were from last time. There's my shock mount and my reservoir mounts. And there you go. Unfortunately, I don't have the proper rod height with this. And actually, full disclosure, I bought 10-inch springs, which lowered it. I got it where I wanted it rod height wise, but the spring and shock wasn't in its full range of motion. And with the limit straps, it would have worked, but I wouldn't have had a balance of the low end versus the high end as far as the spring. It wouldn't be compressing equally. It would fully compress, but when it would extend, it wouldn't extend nearly far enough going down. I want those two to be equal. In a perfect world, it would just be about an inch from the top and bottom, but I'm going to have to settle for 3 inches. But I'll take you to the other side and show you what I came up with. I do want to mention one of the things that got me started on moving the shock. One, obviously, it was rod height. It wasn't set up right. But this, I think, was the original shock mount. It had been cut off when they cut it, and there's some grinding up here. So I think there was probably some tubes or something that held it there. But having bought this frame, I got this frame as just a frame. It came with a frame, the transmission, and the shifter. That's all I got. But I saw he was selling other parts that went on this, and he had a set of shocks on this, rear shocks. They weren't coilovers, they were just shocks. But they were 35.5 inches from here to there, so that made me think that they're probably 14 inch and probably the right shocks. But since I got coilovers, I need to make this a lot stronger, so I don't want to just use a single hole. You know, like on the front's lighter, but I like a double shear on the back, so I don't want to reuse this hole. I could reuse this hole and it would line up kind of all right, but I don't want to do that, so I'm going to make something similar to this right here. So anyway, just wanted to point that out. Okay, I've got this side apart now, or I got the wheel off, I should say. There's the bottom mount that I put in. There's my limit strap that I have in that's holding this to the proper distance now. So that's a 21 inch. I exchanged the 22s for 21. So this is fully down. That's as far as it can go. So that's the limit strap. So after I did the measurements on the shocks, the compression and extension, what I came up with at 35.5 would have left an inch of play. That's fully extended, and then 23 left an extra inch of compression at 23. But you can see those two are kind of too far apart for the shock. So I have to go to the middle, and I've got, there's 25 mark and there's the 33 mark. So right there in the middle is where I need to be. That'll compress, fully extended, I'll still have 3 inches of shock left. Travel, and fully compressed, there would still be 3 inches. So I'm getting equal travel within the shock, so hopefully that's going to be good enough. A 12-inch shock, if you go down, it doesn't have enough extension or compression, so I'm kind of, 14 is kind of where I need to be. And from here, even though it looks like they're side by side, from here to here is 3 inches of distance. So this makes it 3 inches longer by moving it there, which will drop the car 3 inches, which is about where I need to be. So hopefully this is going to work. And when I came to that, these are the dimensions on the 14-inch travel shock. At the top you can see fully compressed 22.5, fully extended is 36. I was aiming for 23 and 35, which gives you an inch of safety, but in order for this to work, in red you can see I'm going for 33 and 25.5. And that should do it. And that gives me the wheel nut on the ground, which I use for a measure. That gave me 11 inches of travel on the shock. So now I can save these maybe for the buggy. These might work, or in the baja, I don't know. But maybe I can remove them and reuse them. I mean, after I remove them, I might be able to remove them. But otherwise, I'm going to have to fabricate new shock mounts. So that's going to be the next thing we're doing. So, and these, hopefully these aren't going to work out because the reservoir gets moved too far. So hopefully these I can use in the baja, or I can cut them down and reuse them here. If not, I'll save them for the baja because they're well made and they work good. So I did weld them in a little bit stronger than I'd like to, had I known I was going to have to remove them, but that's all part of what we do. Okay, I made a quick wooden jig with a full extension of the shock so I can play with it just to work on making my mount so I have a target. So it's just 1.5 by 1.5, and I drilled it at 33.5, which is my extended length. So we use that to work up the
Play responsibly. 21 and over. Physically present in Connecticut, Michigan, New Jersey.
Alright, I transferred my pattern to steel, and I went ahead and scored it to make it bend a little easier since it's 3/16. I want a nice sharp bend on it. I got that side done, and I'm using my angle on each side of it so I know that I got it the same. Okay, I got both sides made and I've got it mocked up now just to test it out. But it looks like it's going to work out. And hopefully this comes out even better than the one before, but it is what it is. I think this is where I'm going to stop this video. So on the next part, I'll continue with the shocks. I've got to cut all this away, break the tacks, which are more than tacks really, but I don't want to do any of that until I cover up my limit straps. I'll probably pull it off, and I need to cover up my CV, so I don't want to get any sparks. Plus, I've got to cut this off, so I need to cover up everything good before I start cutting things off. So anyway, all right, well, there's the old shock mount and the new shock mount next to each other. It's a bummer that I have to redo it again, but I mean, that's just part of the process, and I want to get it right or close to right as I can. I don't want to spend too much time on this buggy because, again, this is just kind of for fun, and this is also kind of almost practice for me for the Baja. I'd rather make mistakes here now while I'm working on this and then rather on the Baja. So I'm learning a lot doing this. It's actually helping me out, even though I'm taking steps backwards. But that's all part of it. But anyway, thanks you guys for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.